Sasha walks into the department lounge. She hesitates. She is late, but not late enough. The room is only half full, even though it is already 20 minutes after the scheduled time of Paula's dissertation defense. You see, Sasha had planned to arrive late, sneak in and take her seat all the way in the back of the room, while everyone's attention would already be on Paula. But this is academia, and this is the Department of Anthropology. And this is the mid-90s, so time is relative, and schedules are typically dismissed as forms of cultural oppression, if not outright examples of how power, through time, extends its social production into our subjective consciousness. Not that this is the kind of thought that is now invading Sasha's consciousness. Her only thought at this very moment is, fuck, why did I ever agree to come back here? Her friend Paula, the reason why she is here, is seated at one end of a long conference table from where she faces the entire room. She waves at Sasha to come and grab the seat right next to her. The room is hot and stifling. Sasha, already sticky from her walk from the train station, can feel her cheeks turn red and the round circle of sweat under her armpits spread to the edges of her summer dress, which is, very unfortunately, pale gray. A terrible choice, she now realizes. Not only the dress, which she had thought of as conservative enough, is wrong. Everyone in the room is wearing slacks and a t-shirt, but also her French designer sunglasses, pushed up against her forehead, and her French designer tote bag. All of it is wrong. What was she thinking? That she could impress her former academic crowd with her superior sense of fashion? This crowd doesn't know anything about fashion, unless it's used as a footnote in a paper on the hidden agenda of capitalist power. She walks to Paula, who grabs and squeezes her hand. I was getting worried about you. I was getting worried you would bail out on me, Paula says. She pulls on Sasha's hand. Sit. Sasha squeezes back, but doesn't sit. She's still scanning the room, both for people she may know and doesn't want to see, as well as for another seat somewhere further back. But Paula is holding her hand firmly. I know I promised you wouldn't know anyone here from the old days, but I forgot about Patty. And sure enough, here she comes. Patty Lerner, the irreplaceable department secretary. Aged a little, but otherwise looking just like Sasha remembers her. Frazzled, but brimming with that unbearable and yet not unfounded belief that if it wasn't for her, all department rituals would fall apart and complete primal chaos would ensue. If Patty Lerner is surprised or displeased by Sasha's presence, she is kind enough not to show it. Sasha feels great gratitude, love even, for Patty. And the truth is, Sasha always liked Patty. Patty, with her broken accent and stories of drug-addicted teenage nephews she was only too happy to enable, had been, in Sasha's view, the only real human being in the whole department. Sit, sit, sit. We're just about to begin, Patty tells Sasha. Well, Sasha says, still standing, I thought I might leave this spot for someone else. But before she can continue or do anything, Paula's advisors are walking in to take their place on the other side of the table, next to Paula and right across from Sasha. Completely ignoring Sasha, they begin whispering among themselves, while Patty Lerner stares at the room, which is now almost full, and clears her throat. The whole room falls silent. Sasha has no choice but to quickly sit down. People are already looking at her with mild curiosity, an obvious stranger in their midst. She fans herself with a copy of the Daily Princetonian she'd found in the train and tries to remember whether dissertation defenses have intermissions or not. It was Paula who had called and insisted that Sasha come to Princeton for the event. They hadn't talked in over a year, and Sasha had been taken by surprise. Me? You're inviting me? I'm the one who disappeared. The girl who supposedly went into the field and just never came back. Remember? So what, Paula had said. No one here will know who you are. I won't know anyone besides my advisors. Well, I do know 2 of your advisors from before. They don't care. And every student we used to know, they're done already. I'm the last one in our group, Sasha. It was nice of Paula to not add the last one, not counting you, that is. Indeed, Sasha was a chef now, back in Brooklyn, And while she had been noted and reviewed in the New York Times once, she still spent most of her days frying whatever brain cells she had left in a hot, windowless kitchen among a bunch of guys whose collective intellectual power manifested itself in finding new ways to download porn videos on the restaurant computer system. It wasn't as if she had been keeping up with the latest debate in the American Anthropologist Review, but Paula insisted. Listen, it would mean a lot to me to have you there. And I do want to know what you think of my work. You've known me since the very beginning, remember? Sasha did remember. And now she found herself surprisingly flattered that there was one person left in the world who remembered that she too, at some point, had showed intellectual promise, some real academic potential, as one professor, a long time ago, had written in a recommendation letter. So Sasha had said yes, but then the night before, she had thought of calling Paula to cancel. Even up to the morning itself, after a sleepless night, she was still thinking of a lie, any kind of lie, because of course she had thought of bailing out. She had done everything she could in the last 5 years to forget about that moment in her life, that baffling moment of insanity that had led her to apply to graduate school. And the universe, being just as crazy as she was, had complied, got her in with a full fellowship. But once she was in, and once the universe, for a reason only it knew, had left her to her own devices, she had moved into full self-sabotage mode. Her friend Paula, the only friend she had made while there, had been a helpless witness to it all. Paula begins speaking. Her voice is clear, steady, confident. Sasha tries to concentrate on her friend's voice. She avoids looking at the advisor across the table. The audience consists mainly of first and second year graduate students. Once upon a time, she had been one of them, and now here she was again, a visitor who arrived and would leave just like she had 5 years ago, a nobody nobody knew. Are you like a model or something? It was a terrible line, but somehow this was how it all began. Sasha looked up at the guy tending the cash register, speechless. A moment ago, he was scanning her bananas and toilet paper, and now he was asking her what? Was he kidding? If not, that had to be the most ridiculous, phony pickup line she had heard in a long time. But the fact was, this was the only pickup line of any kind that she had heard in a long time. This was February, right into the middle of Sasha's first year as a graduate student at Princeton University. She had just begun teaching a small class as a TA, and it turned out that she was terrified of the undergraduate student she was supposed to be teaching. She could see that half of them knew she was a fraud. They never wrote down anything she said and just stared at her with evident suspicion. The other half, those who eagerly wrote down everything she said and even quoted her in their weekly papers, terrified her even more. Also, what was going on with her English? Her English was getting worse every time she opened her mouth. Her Russian accent, which she believed she had managed to hide, or at least keep under wraps over the years, was rearing its ugly Russian head. She could imagine her professors at faculty meeting looking at each other in disbelief and wondering, who was it again who had let her into the program? On the social front, things were not much better. Paula, who had been a roommate since the beginning, had moved in with her new boyfriend, some guy from the history department she just met at a Thanksgiving party. It seemed that everyone had found a mate. Only Sasha, the oldest among her fellow graduate students, lived alone. She spent most evenings smoking pot and reading Russian novels. Her apartment was in one of those awful barracks that served as graduate housing and reminded her of a Tarkovsky film set, or worse, the concentration camp in Schindler's List. The whole landscape surrounding the campus was gray, cold, and forbidden. There was no good restaurant for miles around, and the only place to buy anything that even resembled real food was here at the Wild Oats Food Market. So she looked up at the guy again. He was tall, thin, black, had a shaved head with a dragon tattoo spread over his scalp and a pierced bottom lip. He wore the green Wild Oats apron over his green hoodie. Handsome, but young, like 22, going on 16. Still, was he flirting with her? Of course he was. He kept looking at her and smiling. She stared down at his hands as he scanned more of her groceries. She thought of Paula and all the women she had met since moving on campus and wondered, would they flirt back? Of course they would. Maybe not with the Wild Oats guy, but they all had at one point flirted with ease and confidence. And that's how they were all coupled now, whereas she, Sasha, wasn't. She smiled at the guy. I'm just visiting, she answered. Thank you.